Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Or as the British call it, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Or as Max calls it, Harry Potter 1. So thank you, Max, for making it easy to watch these in order. So, this is a movie starring the now world-famous Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and the amazing Emma Stone. As always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off the furry, there's a unicorn, a centaur, a couple cats, baby dragon, three-headed dog, owls galore, frogs, and a rat. Moving on. So, I just want to start off with the music. I think a third of the reason, or more, why people remember these movies so well is because of the music, the score. There is so many memorable themes in this movie that carry over through all 8 films, and they just do such an amazing job. Like, I haven't heard more memorable music since Star Wars, Harry Potter, and, to me at least, The Matrix. But the music in this is just so phenomenal. If you haven't noticed the music when you watch these before, I encourage you to pay attention. I don't know how you could not notice the music at this point, but if you haven't, listen, because it's amazing, and it will guide you and give you half of the feels are from the music in this. And I think part of the reason for that is I didn't really notice it because it's been a while since I've seen these movies, but I didn't really notice it because Daniel Radcliffe has gone on to have a really good acting career. Like, he's done a lot of amazing movies, and he's done a really good job. Like, he is, in my opinion, a very good actor. And Emma Stone has gone on and done a lot of movies, and I also think she is a very, very good actress. Like, they are amazing. And Rupert Grint basically retired after the Harry Potter films. Like, I haven't seen him in anything or heard about him in anything. Like, last I heard, he opened up an ice cream shop to just hand out free ice cream to the kids because he had more money than he knew what to do with. So good for him for that. But what I didn't really notice until this watch through is that Rupert Grint was the only one who could act at this age. Like, out of the trio, Malfoy's pretty good, Neville's decent, but Harry Potter, man, Daniel Radcliffe's acting is a little rough in this one. It's not bad enough not to watch, but so he's not like Anakin Skywalker in episode 1, but it's not great. Like, the best one by far of the trio is Rupert Grint. Like, at no point did I feel like he was saying the lines that he had to or reading something off. Like, it was just him. So I really liked that. I will also say that the CGI, I think for how old it is good, but it's a little rough sometimes for, there are some fake-looking things, usually for the full body shots that also show the human face. Like, it's pretty obvious when they switch, when Neville is falling from his broom accident. Like, it's very, very obvious. So props to them for being able to get as good as they did back in 2000, 2001, whenever this came out. But it does not hold up as well. And I think that one of the more difficult parts is the Quidditch match because of just how much CGI. And I'm sure it was very expensive, and they did their absolute best with the technology they had available. But it is still, close-up shot of our heroes with the green screen, and then far-away shot with very obvious CGI devils. But, that being said, especially because I enjoy a good Quidditch match, that I don't mind. It was very CGI looking, but in a way that just, and maybe it's my nostalgia because I remember watching these movies and reading the books and what have you, but it didn't bother me all that much. So I don't think it ruins the overall enjoyment of the film. I do also want to point out, when speaking of CGI, I really, really liked the centaur design in this movie. I think that, I want to say even in the later movies when the centaurs show up, that they redid the design, and I did not like the design as much, at least as I recall it. So this design, at least in this movie, was absolutely fantastic. I've seen a lot of centaurs in a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows, and this one is my favorite. I thought they did a fantastic job of really giving the power to them. So that was awesome. Also, getting back to the music real quick, I do want to point out that Hagrid, when he's on his lute at one point, he's looting the theme song for Harry Potter, and that's fun. So If you're like, oh, I recognize that. That's why you recognize that. Anywho, so for those of you who have lived under a rock for the past 20, 30 years, Harry Potter is a regular-ass kid who is told when he's 11 years old, he's like, hey, you're a wizard, and you're going to come to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry to learn how to be a wizard, and then there's bad things happening all around. So, yeah, I think that's really all you need to know going into this, is if you like magic and wizards, and I'm talking about, like, wizards where they have, like, funny little hats, and they have robes, and they have wands, and I think they did such a fantastic job designing this sets, because they are absolutely awesome. I loved all the creature designs. I wouldn't call a goblin like a creature, so to speak, so that's why I didn't put it under furry, but I guess you could maybe call it. Anyway, moving on. So how they had all of the sets, like Diagon Alley was just absolutely fantastic, and I think it holds up today, and I'm pretty sure Universal Studios agrees, because I think they have a Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade and whatever else, like, so they did such a good job of designing this in a way that could be timeless, and I like that. Side note, from what I remember of the books or the trivia about the movies or whatever else, this is, like, the time period in which this is set is 1995, so, before cell phones and whatnot. Not that the wizards really would use cell phones, but that's beside the point. That's just kind of give you an idea of when this is supposed to be set. And I don't remember if it was like year 7 is in 1995 or year 1 is in 1995, but regardless, don't have cell phones. So yeah, this one, like I said, the acting is a little rough, but they introduced so many fun concepts in this that hold up through some of the other movies. And yeah, some of the things don't continue through all the movies, but I think that for this one, for the age group that the actors were and what was happening in the movie, I think that they had just the right amount of, like, whimsy and fun stuff. And yeah, the acting worked well enough, especially because the actors definitely got better as time went on. Probably the major gripe that I have about this, and I'm going to call this kind of a spoiler because of how far into the movie this takes place, but I'm not going to describe the rest of it, so minor spoiler alert for, 20-year-old product. But Ron is an idiot. They lean into Ron being an idiot a lot in future movies and future books. And my understanding is that by the time this movie came out, many of the books were already written, so it was well established that Ron is a bit of an idiot. Or at least that's how they portray him in the movies, which I remember much more than the books, because I always thought the books were kind of meh. They were fine, but I didn't get the huge craze about it. I'm glad that it was a craze about it, because yay for reading. But he's an idiot. And yet, they establish in a pre-thing, and then in a time that really matters, that he's really good at chess. Which doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Because if you're fantastic at chess, you have to think 2, 3, 4, 10 moves ahead. You have to think just in massive scales of all these different moves and keep them all in your head and strategize and think about the future and just have the ability to think. And from what I got from Ron in every other scene in this movie, and in future movies as I recall them, yeah, I'll rewatch them and maybe my opinion will change. But at this point, from what I remember, Ron is an idiot, and it doesn't make sense for him to be good at wizards' chess, or chess in general, other than to give him a thing to do to make him useful in that sequence. Is it just me? Am I crazy? But that's just how I feel about that. That scene has always kind of bugged me, that setup has always bugged me, and I feel like they never go back to it because it's not believable. But anywho, I did thoroughly enjoy this movie, and I definitely recommend watching all the movies. I think that they, at least so far, the first one has held up after all this time. Yeah, CGI is a little rough, but overall I think it holds up, and it's a fun time. And if you haven't read the books, go do so, just so you understand all the merch and the movies. But they're not like super awesome, amazing, fantastic, worth like $100 billion of sales that they've had, in my opinion, but they're good. So check them out. I also think that this movie holds up without the books, which is important to me in a movie, book, blah, blah, blah. You've heard my spiel. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.